Khamzat Chimaev does come in minus 1110.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't know how to really say that. Minus 1,110. And he's taking on Nate Diaz plus 675 underdog. Khamzat, of course, ranked number 3 in the division. Nate Diaz currently unranked. So this has been a very messy, just messy affair. It feels like a Game of Thrones season that we've been experiencing with this. Dare I say, it's been one of the, since I've been a fan, like since I've been watching live, which has only been, I guess, what are we on, 6 years now, Dom? I mean,
Yeah, over 6 years though.
so we're about over 6 years. I mean, it's a good chunk, but since I've been watching, this has probably been like the biggest black eye that the UFC has really faced since I've really been watching. I mean, there's been a lot of things, right? There's a
But
lot of things.
matchmaking wise,
Yeah,
yeah.
but like in terms of just a situation where you really don't feel like you can defend them, there's a lot of them where maybe you could, where it's a little bit of he said, or he said, she said, whatever. This feels pretty clear, like UFC's kind of screwing this guy out the door a little bit. And they're giving him Khamzat Chimaev, who, of course, is looked at to be one of the future stars. I mean, he's already kind of that, but he's sort of the future of the company in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Nate Diaz kind of being viewed as the past at this point. He's still a needle mover, but his best days potentially behind him. And I think the odds are really illustrating that. So, Dominic,
Mm-hmm.
I think to Nate's credit, he's an exceptional fighter, even still. Even in a fight like against Leon Edwards, who's now our welterweight champion, nearly finishes that fight kind of similar to how Leon did the
Yeah.
Usman, but with a left hand instead. Had Leon on skates for the last minute of that fight. Still a great fighter, of course. One of the just legends of the sport. He's had a lot of great wins through his career. Hamzat, kind of a guy that's still pretty fresh. I mean, doesn't have a ton of fights in the UFC. He's coming off of a big win over Gilbert Burns, one of the fights of the year,
Mm-hmm.
but one that might have, showed a little bit of flaw in Hamzat. So when you kind of look at this fight, you look at the odds, the story's pretty clear on how this fight should go.
Yeah.
But the question is that how it's going to go?
Oh, Noah. Is it crazy that with odds like this, I don't have a damn clue how the fight's gonna go? Like Nate Diaz is the toughest bastard in the UFC, in mixed martial arts, dare I say. This dude's been through it all, an OG, the realest of the real, too, in terms of the way that he acts, the way that he walks, the way that he talks, everything he is, he's about that life. He's one of those guys. But honestly, everything we've seen from Khamzat Chimaev has been basically the same of what I just described Nate Diaz as. Dare I say he's the new age Nate Diaz in the way that he carries himself. That could be a bit bold. I know. But man, it's just, you think on paper, as basic as you can describe it, Khamzat comes in and he smashes Nate Diaz. But can anybody really do that? I mean, I just don't know. I don't see a world necessarily where Nate wins, but I'm also not seeing a world in which Khamzat comes in and just ragdolls Nate and finish him like he's done with, many of his opponents outside of Gilbert Burns, that is, and he still got a great win in that one. So I just don't know what to expect. Like, Nate's good on the ground, but can he really use his jiu-jitsu if Chimaev's on top of him? On the feet, Nate's a solid boxer, but Khamzat's going to have more power than him. Is Nate going to be able to, piece up Chimaev? I don't know. Gilbert had success, but he has a lot more power. Noah said that off recording. I don't know a method in which Nate can win this fight. And although I think Khamzat's going to win, he should win, I don't really know he's going to do it either. So this is as crazy as these odds are, as crazy as the fight is, as crazy as the storylines have been. I don't have a damn clue what's going to happen when the cage door locks on Saturday night. But I do hope that Noah has a little bit better of an idea than myself.
I mean, well, let's dig into Khamzat Gilbert Burns first. That's the fight that a lot of people walked away kind of putting a little bit of a pause
Yeah.
on Khamzat, on his hype, right? And we kind of were in the camp of like, you shouldn't put a pause on it. I think that win proved how legit he is.
Yes.
But there is some things that were in there where, I mean, I think we were looking at him at the beginning of the year being champion by the end as like a foregone conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think you have to put like a little bit of, like, I still think he's a future champion, but maybe not as quickly and as thoroughly as we originally were maybe thinking.
Fair.
Because that Gilbert Burns fight, he fought very, what's a word to describe it? He was very disorganized in his approach. I mean, it was very balls to the wall. Not a lot of fight IQ.
I think he made it harder on himself than what it needed to be.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, Gilbert is a terrific fighter. I mean, he fought for a belt. He had Kamaru hurt. A lot of people forget that. I think there's a chance Gilbert could fight for a belt again for sure. But, I mean, Khamzat really kind of fought with reckless abandon when I really don't think he needed to in that way.
Right.
Especially in the stand-up department. I mean, he seemed very just committed to trying to get a knockout quickly. And then he ran into some just hammers that Gilbert was throwing and was kind of like, oh shit. And it really evened that fight out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Khamzat got the win. It was a pretty clear 2-1 at the end. But to me, he defensively was very just not on it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of better words. I mean, here, but they're not coming to me as this is what the corporate America does to you people.
Yeah.
But he just defensively wasn't very sound in that fight. I mean, again, he was looking for a finish. He was aggressive, but he left a lot of openings.
Mm-hmm.
Gilbert had the power to hurt him, and he did multiple times. I mean, took a whole round where it looked like Khamzat was looking a little dicey there for a second. With Nate Diaz, don't see that happening. Not on the feet. I mean, he's a good boxer, but I don't see him, like you said, picking him apart.
Mm-hmm.
Khamzat just, I think he's too big, too aggressive, too, like, powerful, too quick at this point to really. I don't think that hand that Nate threw at Leon, I don't think that does the damage to Khamzat that it did to Leon. Put it that way. Could I be wrong? Of course. But I just don't really see Nate being able to fight that way. But admittedly, there is so much pressure on Khamzat here.
Oh yeah. And Nate said that,
that he is being given what is essentially the biggest name in the sport that's active right now, who is looked at as not being nearly in his prime anymore. Yeah. We can debate on where he really stands at this point. But that's what the UFC, I mean, they're really trying to give him a layup in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Get the biggest name on your resume and a main event spot, and then you cash in with potentially a title fight next.
Mm-hmm.
But if he goes in there and struggles at all, or, can't put Nate away, even if he dominates a 5-round decision, does that raise more questions than it does give answers? Because I sort of wonder if that's what we're facing here. And again, I almost feel like I see a future where we get on here Sunday, we record for Monday, and we're going to be like almost defending Khamzat against people being very reactionary again.
Yeah.
Because look at those odds. Those odds tell you that Khamzat smash.
Yeah, right.
But if he does, but not enough to really put Nate away, who we know how durable
hardly anyone
is.
Yeah.
But is the takeaway going to be that Khamzat, he got a gimme with the 37-year-old Nate Diaz, who's already on the way out, couldn't finish him. Is this going to be the narrative? And it's going to be kind of piling on after the Gilbert fight, where people thought he did not fight like a championship level fighter. Are we going to find ourselves defending him again and being like, guys, he's probably a future champion. You got to realize Nate's so durable. I think I'm seeing a future here where I don't know if Khamzat can really please anybody with this fight.
Yeah, I can see that happening come Sunday when we record. It's just like, and the haters are always going to be out there, but just skeptics in general of this guy's talent. being the way that he was pushed or the way the UFC views him, whatever the case, their opinions on this fight, big Nate fans, there's a ton of different angles people can come at with that same viewpoint that Noah just described. And, it's just like, I don't necessarily foresee this happening, but like, do we even get to a world where it does go 5 and Khamzat just plays with his food, like even intentionally? I don't necessarily think so. I'm really, it's hard to imagine any sort of way that this fight ends for both guys. I don't know why I'm struggling so badly there. I mean, but I personally feel like Khamzat is going to come out guns a-blazing, like Li Jingliang fight type style, and really look to just pummel Nate. And again, easier said than done. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but if I really had to say this is what I think is likely to happen, or at least in terms of a game plan for Khamzat, I think that's it. I think he absolutely just barn burner, just straight at Nate, no room to breathe, right on top of him from the get-go. And truthfully, I think that's the best way to go about it. Do you really want to take any chances with Nate? Like, don't get me wrong, Leon, the way that he fought Nate, that's just Leon's style. And Leon looked amazing in that fight, guys. I hate that last minute ruined his whole performance because Leon looked incredible. Even his wrestling, I mean, it was great. But again, like maybe Khamzat does see that hand that Nate landed on Leon, and he's like, oh, shit. Man, I just got into a war with Gilbert. I got injured there, wobbled a little. What if that just one perfect shot clips me when I don't see it? I don't know if Chimaev wants to put that at risk. You said that the pressure is on him. The weight of the world is on his shoulders. Going in here Saturday night, his first main event on pay-per-view, I think he tries to go in and just pummel Nate. That's what I think he should do and what I think he's going to try to do.
Well, let's talk about Nate Diaz a little bit too, because he is in a very peculiar situation, right? There's talks now. It looks like he's going to be starting up his own fight promotion, which maybe we'll talk about that more once the fight's taken place, just kind of what that might mean. But last fight of his deal, a lot of people talking about a boxing fight in his future with the gentleman who we might talk about a little bit later. What's the motivation for Nate here? Because I've seen legit takes, not going to expose anybody. I've seen motherfuckers telling me that Nate, he could just go in there and lay down and flip off the Dana and the boys as he's walking out.
I've seen that more this week. I have.
That's a great little fan fiction that just got read to me. But there is a less than 0% chance that happens.
Yeah.
Do you agree, or do you really think that there's a chance? I mean, I'm not talking about do you think there's a chance like he gets a nice shot, like almost like what Nick did against Robbie a little bit?
Yeah.
Like he took a really clean shot, and if this was like the Nick Diaz who was obviously in a much better place, he's still coming forward, but there he was like, man, probably just broke my nose, like fuck this, and kind of just dropped down.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think there's a world where Nate do you think he thinks like that? Does he weigh these kind of things and goes, I got bigger fish to fry outside of this fight?
No, man, it goes back to what I said at the beginning about Nate. This dude he lives and breathes the fight game. That's what he's about. It's like in his blood. There's no way that I could see this man. That goes against everything Nate Diaz stands for.
Yeah.
If he goes out there and does that. So I've seen the narrative from our friends and from the community this week. They're not
the only one. I mean, they kind of said they were the ones that kind of brought it to me first.
Yeah.
And I put them in timeout.
Right.
And I almost had to put them in timeout again just because they keep reminding me about it. Yeah. But I am seeing it. And most of the time when I see it, it's people saying, I wouldn't blame him if he did that, which, again, not a great look for the UFC here. I mean, that they're sort of even putting this fight together in the first place. It's a massive fight, but it really does feel like the UFC has not gained themselves any friends by putting this fight together here.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely not, in Nate's best interest to make this fight, but he did kind of make it clear with the interview with Brett that he's like, doesn't necessarily have any hatred toward the UFC. He loves the UFC. Yeah. Dana talked about how they still have a very strong relationship. He wishes him the best. We'd love to have him come back if he wants. If not, blah blah blah. Like if Nate were to really come in there and lay down, take a dive. I think that's the word I was looking for, the phrase. You want to talk about burning bridges for your future, for that fight promotion. If you want to do any, get it on Fight Pass or, whatever the case may be, re-sign with the UFC, like anything like that, all out the window. And Noah has even said that with other ventures. If he wants to go to Bellator or go box, like
people don't recognize that, like, if you do that, yes, I get it. Maybe he has a right to, right? Maybe he is being screwed so bad that maybe he should stick it to them, whatever. But if he legitimately did something to where, and I don't think that, like, our friends are necessarily saying he's just going to go in there, lay down, and walk out. But if it was something where you could kind of sniff it out, right? If it was just a little obvious, like, wait a minute, Nate really just, I think he just took a dive right there. Like, I think he just quit.
Yeah.
I don't see any promoter, any sport outside of him. I don't see it. He would be blacklisted.
Yeah.
How could you, if you are a venue like Madison Square Garden, and you got Jake Paul coming to you saying, we want to do a fight with Nate Diaz, they'd say, hell no. The guy who just fucking quit, like in the first 15 seconds of his fight, there ain't no chance. Showtime would say, hell no. They would do ×2 on that. It just, I don't think people think about that kind of stuff, and I also just don't think it's in Nate's blood to do it.
Well, and let's just be honest here, Noah, and to everybody listening and watching. Yeah, that'd be a fuck you, right? That's like the narrative behind that whole thing. No, the biggest fuck you for Nate is to go in there and beat Khamzat Chimaev.
Which he thinks he can.
Yes, absolutely he thinks he can, or he's not in this fight. Nate Diaz is not in this fight for any other reason than to come in there and shock the world again, because he's done it before, let us not forget.
Let me tell you, we're struggling to predict how this fight's going to go, and rightfully so. It's just such a... It feels like the result's inevitable, or like the winner's inevitable, but it's like, how do we get there,
Yeah.
One thing I expect a lot of theatrics here.
Oh, yeah.
I expect middle fingers. Maybe he'll do like what Nick did against Anderson Silva, lay down on the ground a little bit, do that kind of stuff. I expect Khamzat to be all about that.
He's practicing his slaps to get ready for Nate.
So I think this is going to be... I expect this fight to be pretty one-sided, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be quite a bit of fun. Like, I would predict right now a Khamzat decision. I really don't think he finishes Nate Diaz. And I think Nate will get so much credit and love for just being able to weather that storm. I imagine him like bloody in round 5. Mm-hmm. He takes a really clean shot. And he just throws a middle finger up at Khamzat. Says, like, you can't kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
kind of like that. The Last Stand,
Yeah. I got one question. And maybe we ask it again on Monday, depending on the result. But should Nate come out here and win this? Literally, come out here and win. What are we talking here in terms of, like, biggest upsets ever? Biggest, like, the storylines? The MMA world, it got flipped on its head when Leon just won the belt.
Yeah.
What would a win
this is different,
do to the
this
MMA
is different.
world? Yes.
Leon definitely was a huge story. It still is a huge story.
But a whole different type of narrative.
But this is, one of your biggest stars ever who is sort of being talked about like he doesn't have a lot left. Being fed to the young. The youngest, hottest new thing, the new toy, right? Khamzat. Yeah. If he beats Khamzat Chimaev, there is no question that the UFC have to do everything in their power to keep him under contract. You have to throw him every dollar. They might as well just give him the company. Like, at that point, you are talking one of the biggest upsets ever. Should it be? Like, is it really a bigger upset than, like, some of the big ones in history, the Matt Serra over GSP, the
Holly Ronda.
And really, should Holly and Ronda even been? But yeah, I get the point here. It's up there though, for sure. Just look at those odds. Minus over 1,000. That's literally saying like there's not a chance they're losing here.
Right.
So, that will be something to. We'll find out on Monday for sure.
Oh yeah.
That'll be an interesting episode. Let's talk about the co-main.